Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Gift. In this video I'll be making this beautiful dress. So the first video is the inspiration, while the second video is my creation. I made use of 2.5 yards of crepe fabric to achieve this. I'll be drafting the pattern first on this paper. So at the top of the paper, I'm going to rule a straight line which is going to serve as my shoulder line or my starting line. From the center of the paper, I'm going to mark my shoulder measurements divided by 2, which will give me 8 inches. Then I'm going to come down by 1 inch as my shoulder slope from that 8 inches. From the shoulder slope, I'm going to mark my round armhole measurements divided by 2, which is going to give me 8 inches also. Then I'm going to connect the 8 inches to the shoulder slope on a straight line like this, and this is going to serve as my armhole line. From the center of the paper on the shoulder line, I'm going to mark the width of the neckline, which is 3 inches. Then I'm going to be marking the depth, which should be 7 inches. Then I'm going to connect the 2 points together like this. Then I'm going to connect the shoulder slope to the neckline area like this. I'm going to extend the armhole line to the other side of the paper like this. So I'm going to get the midpoint of my armhole line. I'm going to divide the armhole line into 2 equal parts by folding my tape over like this. I had 4 inches, so I marked the 4 inches. Then I'm going to go in by half an inch from that 4 inches. Then I'm going to mark my bust measurements divided by 4 on this line. Then I'm going to add 1.5 inches seam allowance to it. Then I'm going to connect the half an inch I went in by from the midpoint to the bust measurement like this. Then I'm going to connect the top of the line to my shoulder slope. From my shoulder to my waistline is 15 inches. So I'm going to mark the 15 inches. Then I'm going to rule a straight line across the dot I made, and that will be the half length for this dress. So you can add the allowance you want to add to the half length on your pattern, or you can add it directly to your fabric. Don't forget to add your stitching allowance. I've not added stitching allowance to this. So on the waistline, I'm going to mark my waist measurements divided by 4 plus 1.5 inches seam allowance. Then I'm going to connect the bust measurements to the waist measurements like this. Then I'm going to cut out the excess part of the paper I don't need. So this is the front pattern. I'm going to use this to cut the back pattern. From the thumbnail, you should know the back is a tie back, so I'm going to be using this front pattern to cut the back. I'm going to place it on this paper like this. Then I'm going to trace the 2 sides like this, the armhole area and the down part. Then I'm going to connect the 2 dots together like this. Then I'm going to extend the lines also to the other side of the paper. So I'm going to place the front pattern on it to ensure they are the same thing. So from the waistline, that is the down part of this paper, I'm going to go in by 2 inches. So I'm going to be marking 2 inches from the side like this. So that is the 2 inches mark. Then on this other side, I'm going to go up by 2 inches like this also. Then from the line at the top, I'm going to come down by 2 inches like this. Then I'm going to take my ruler and connect these 2 inches on the waistline to the 2 inches I went up by on the other side. Then I'm going to connect this other side of the paper to the 2 inches I just came down by. If you don't understand what I'm saying, just look at what I'm doing. So this is what I have. This is how the back is going to curve in. So I'm going to cut out the excess part of the paper. You can see the back is short. This is how the length of my paper is. So I'm going to extend the length on my fabric while cutting it. So this is the front pattern and the other one is the back pattern. I'm just going to label them, so ensure you label the back, the up and the down, so you don't mix it up if you don't really understand it. So I went ahead to cut my fabric. I added half an inch to the length and half an inch to the shoulder, even the back too. I added half an inch to the top and half an inch to the down part. So I extended my fabric by 15 inches, so you can make the back as long as you want it to. So I'm going to remove the paper from the fabric so that you guys can see it. So I cut out 2 pieces for the back because I'll be using 1 piece for the lining and 1 piece is the main piece. So I'm going to place the 2 right sides on each other like this. So I'm going to turn the neckline, the shoulder, the armhole and the sides. I'm just going to leave the down part open. So because of the rope at the shoulder, I'm going to come down by half an inch from the top of the shoulder. Then from that half an inch, I'm going to come down by 1 inch as the opening. On the other side of the fabric, I'm going to still do the same thing. I came down by half an inch. From that half an inch, I came down by 1 inch. So I'm going to stitch the top of the shoulder like this. I'm going to stitch it by half an inch, the half an inch I marked at the top. Then from that 1 inch, I'm going to complete my stitching to the other side. So I'm marking the same thing at the other side of the fabric. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. So I'm going to close this as the shoulder side. Then the remaining down part, I'm going to stitch the other sides of the fabric to the end. So this is the back. I also have a lining piece for the back. So I'm going to place the 2 right sides on each other. So I'm going to properly arrange them on each other. So I'm going to close the top part, I'm going to close the down part, the small side. Then I'm going to leave this bigger side open in order to turn it over to the right side. I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. So I'm going to be using this fabric to make a rope. So I'm going to close this side, then I'm going to stitch on a straight line to the end of the fabric. Then I'm going to use something small to turn the fabric over to the right side. I'm making 2 ropes. So I'm done turning the front piece with the lining and I went ahead to iron it flat. So I made the rope also. Now I'm going to be passing it through the opening made at the shoulder with the help of this safety pin. So ensure you secure the rough edges at the of the opening so it will not be popping out. So I'm going to pass it through the shoulder like this. Then I'm going to pass the other rope through the other shoulder also. So I done the back piece with the lining and I went to iron and I ironed it also, and this is what it's looking like. So I'm going to place the back on the front piece like this. Then I'm going to stitch it in by 1 inch. So I'm going to stitch like this on this side. Then I'm going to place the other side on it properly. Then I'm going to stitch it also. So this is the fabric I'll be using for the gathers. It's folded into two. So I'm going to minus the half length, which is 15 inches from it. So I want the length of the dress to be 34 inches. Then I'm going to add 2 inches to the length. So I'm going to minus the 15 inches from the top like this. Then I'm going to mark it to the 36 inches to get the length of my dress. So the width of this fabric is already folded into two. The width is 27 inches. So for you to get the estimate of how you want the fabric, the width to be, I advise that you multiply your waist measurement by 2 or 3, or you can make your fabric bigger than that. It depends on how full you want the dress to be. So I've already splitted my fabric into two. So I'm going to gather this first one, then the one for the back, I'm going to make a channel at the top of the fabric. So ensure you add the allowance that you'll be using for the channel to the back, so that the back will not be shorter than the front. So you can make your fabric as wide as you want to. It depends on how full you want your gathers to be. So I've gone ahead to make the channel at the top of the fabric. So I'm going to pass this elastic band through it with the help of my safety pin. So the length of this elastic band is 10 inches. So I'm going to pass it through like this. Then I'm going to stitch both ends of the elastic on the fabric. So I went ahead to make the front gathers, and I dragged it to fit into the front half length, to fit into the waist of the front half length. So you can go ahead and gather the fabric as you want, or you can pleat it on the half length. It depends on what you want. So I'm going to place it on it like this. So you make sure the two sides are flat, so when you join your fabric, that place will be flat. So I've gone ahead to join the gathers to the half length, and I joined the back to the front half length also, and this is what I have. So I'm going to attach the gather for the back to it like this. So I'm going to place it on this side of the front fabric like this. Then I'm going to close up this side. I'm going to stitch it from that side to the end of the fabric. So if you can't see this properly, so I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to push this part in, then I'm going to place it on this part of the front piece like this. Then I'm going to close up that side to the end. Then I'm going to hem the base of the dress.